business to take care of. So, appreciate everyone coming out, making the adjustments. I know some of you don't come on Monday nights, so I really appreciate that. A lot of black belts, past and present, and then some that come from some different academies, so I appreciate that as well. It's a big night. When you have someone obviously go to black belt, they spent many, many years on the mat. And when you spend that much time with someone, you know, you get to really get to know them, be a part of their family, and they get to know you, and you build a bond and a relationship. And you get to see their game grow, watch them grow as an individual through the hard times that jiu-jitsu puts in front of you. And so it's always a pleasure and an honor to see those kind of things, and then have a night like tonight to see so many of you show up so that we can honor Mr. Bo Montier. Come on up, Mr. Bo. So for those that are new and don't know Mr. Bo, he recently relocated to Denver, and that's where he's at now. So he drove down to make this trip so we can make this happen tonight. So let's do it. Before I let him speak, I just add a couple more things. Like I said, he relocated to a different school, so he has new coaches, new professors, you know, new people guiding him along his path. But he reached out to me a long time ago and said, "Hey, I would like for you to give me my black belt." And I was like, "Absolutely, but let's make sure it's okay with who you're currently under first, and let's run it by them and see if it's okay with them." And he did that. They gave him the okay and the green light, and so that's why he's here. And so that means a lot for me, because to have a student, because how long have you been training altogether?
About 11 years, a little over 11 years.
About 11 years. So he was with me from the very beginning, took a little break, then came back, and then he moved, and then now he came back for this. So I spent a lot of time with Bo. We've had a lot of good times together, and then we had a couple little incidences that I want him to share with you guys tonight, because it's important to understand that this relationship that you have with your students isn't always going to be smooth sailing all the way through. You're talking 11 years, and now the whole 11 isn't with me, but the majority of it was. And you're spending 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days a week with someone in and out, and there's times where you just don't feel like really training like you're capable of training. And then that's where I come in. Because if I see that you're not really bringing your true potential to the mat, and something's going on up here, you're dealing with daily life struggles, family things, then I have to make sure that I check those things and I pull those away from you so that you can have good training and your teammates have good training. Okay, so Mr. Bo, what, for those that again don't know you, what got you into jiu-jitsu to begin with?
My brother has been training Brazilian jiu-jitsu since he was about 18. He started at a school in College Station that did judo and jiu-jitsu, and he tried to start getting me into it back. He's 7 years older than me. He's tried to get me into it. I didn't, you know, eventually I was finally like, all right, how do I start? And this is years down the road. I was 24, 25 by this time. We lived over in Duncanville, and he Googled and he said, "There's this guy, Danny Alvarez, down the road. He's under Bruno Bastos, who comes from a respected lineage. He's a real black belt. Like, go check him out." And so I showed up, and that's how I started. And some of the guys in this room today were there when I came in. Coach Rennie, Coach Joe, Coach Rob, like all of these guys were, you know, Jeff, like day one, day two, you know, definitely the first week, if they weren't there the very first time, like those guys have been here. Cooper, you know, we're here the days that I started here at Alvarez across the street. So Danielle, obviously.
Yeah, I know. So that's a long time to be training. What kept you in it this long?
Yeah. Well, so I was a skinny kid. I graduated high school. I was 5'9", 135 pounds. I didn't break 150 until I was almost 30. So I was skinny when I started jiu-jitsu. I was one of the featherweights. I think the lowest I ever competed at was 135. And jiu-jitsu was the first sport that ever kind of clicked. Through white belt, I really struggled with competition. I would do kind of okay. I finally won gold at Anaga. We went to IBJJF, and I took silver in a 16-man bracket and was promoted. And then was expecting to do, I finally felt like I'd found a groove at white belt and was expecting to do similarly successful at blue belt, and started competing, was just getting crushed at blue belt. Thankfully, I wasn't successful at white belts like a lot of other people were, because I think that I would have quit. Coach has told the story a few times, and this is kind of, I had three things that I really wanted to hit on when I talked. One was like, there's one thing that everybody that has a black belt has in common. There's really only one thing. It doesn't matter what school you go to, anywhere in the world, there is this one thing that every black belt you see will have had in common, and that's that they didn't stop coming. Nothing else. Nothing else. They didn't stop coming. My story of I didn't stop coming really started at, I think it was a 5 grappling.
Yes.
In Fort Worth. I had expected to do really well in the gi because I'd been performing well in the gi, and I had expected to win my division, and I went out and I was winning 2-0, and we got stood up near the end of the round, and 10 seconds left, and the guy flying arm barred me. And my arm hurt. Pretty sure the guy had a cup on, and had a pretty deep bruise, and I was devastated, and I was gonna use that as an excuse to leave. It hurt bad enough that I was like, I can probably say that it hurts and I'm going home. And Coach, you have my permission to use my name in this story. Like, you don't need to keep me out of it. I'm not proud of how the story started. I'm not proud of the fact that I was going home. Coach came up to me.
Well, you came up to me.
That's true. He was busy.
You're talking
he was
60
very busy.
students on the mats at this tournament. So I'm running around coaching, and I'm busy, and I'm like, and he taps me on the shoulder, and he's with his wife, and he's like,
I said, Coach, my arm's hurt. I don't think I'm gonna stay around for no gi. And he's like, what? Like, you got another division, don't you? And I said, yeah, but my arm kind of hurts. I think I'm gonna go home. He's like, you're just gonna turn around like a dog with your tail between your legs and leave? And I was pissed. I said, you know what? Like I'm leaving. And I left. And we left the stadium. We walked down the street. It was the summer. I don't remember exactly what month, but it was Texas summer. And if y'all want to know why I moved out of Texas 2 days ago when it was 97 degrees, that's why I moved to Denver. And we get almost to the car, and I am just angry. I couldn't believe that he'd said that to me. And we're almost to the car, like a son of a gun. He's right. He's right. I turn back around, and I am spitting mad. I'm mad at him, but I know he's right. I'm mad at myself for being so mentally weak. And I go back inside, I get changed, and I'm convinced that I'm gonna go in and lose, but at least I'll be there. And the guy, my first opponent in no gi was the guy who had just beat me in the gi. And I come back and beat him. And I think that day was what got me here. If I had gone home that day, I don't think that I'd be here today. I didn't quit, and then I just didn't quit. And that's the only thing that every black belt here today has in common, is that they just didn't quit. And we all have days that we wanted to. There have been days where if I didn't have a tattoo that I needed to finish and I needed to get the black belt filled in, I wouldn't have gone to jiu-jitsu that day. But I need to finish the tattoo. And so I don't quit. And so that's just one thing. Just don't quit. Just keep coming. You'll get there. Your road won't look like mine. It won't look like anybody else's in there, but just don't quit. The second thing is intentionality. I won't spend a long time on this. My brother, Scott, Coach Alvarez talks about this a lot. Intentionality in your training. I like to set goals. Coach Alvarez talks about this a lot. Write them down. I'll tell you what mine are right now for this next year, really, like this from now until the end of 2023, consistency. I have had a hard time this past couple of years. COVID disrupted everything. The move to Colorado disrupted everything. So I haven't hit a lot of my specific goals because my consistency has been bad. So my little goals have fallen by the wayside, so my big goals haven't always been hit. So the name of the game for me is consistency. So what does that look like for me? 3 times of jiu-jitsu a week, 3 times of cardio, whether it's HIIT or running, and 3 times of weightlifting a week for the next year. Like, that's my goal for the next year. If I hit that, all sorts of other things are gonna work into place, and I'm gonna write that down. And I'm gonna post that where people can see it so that I can be held accountable to it. Make goals, that's my big goal. Then I have goals for a quarter. Like these next 3 months, I'm working on butterfly half. That's what I'm working on. So I'm gonna be studying butterfly half and be working on it. And then every day when I come into class, I have a goal. This is what I'm working on today. Whether it's the technique of the week, or it's something I'm working on my own. Intentionality. That's what's going to take you from eventually you'll get there to you get there faster. The third thing in the jiu-jitsu community, there's a lot of talk about loyalty, and this is what Coach mentioned. I've been gone and back, and now I'm gone. I'm gone because I'm moved. Now, what happened the first time? The gone and back. There have been, and no matter where you go in the jiu-jitsu community, sometimes there's drama. It's a reality of the community that we are in. People get very close. They build very close friendships, and sometimes things don't work out, and people aren't perfect. And so there's friction, and people split, and sometimes it doesn't go well. A few years ago, when I was a purple belt, Coach Alvarez and I were having some friction over some of the rules in the gym that I wanted him to be more flexible on. Due to some stuff that frankly wasn't any of my business, he didn't want to be more flexible on. We were rubbing each other the wrong way. We sat down and talked about it. This is key. This is something that a lot of people don't do. A lot of people who have left and no longer really have anything to do with the gym, they just leave. We talked about it. He explained some of the stuff that was going on. There were people who were breaking big rules, and he didn't feel like he could be flexible for me when he was telling them to stop breaking the rules. I got that. I still felt like I needed the flexibility. We shook hands. We parted ways. People ask me, why did you leave Alvarez? Because I was a kids coach at the time. I competed all the time. What happened? And I told people, this is why I left Alvarez. He had these rules. I didn't like the rules at the time. We talked it out. We couldn't come to an agreement. I went somewhere else. I went to Michael Magnus, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu over in Cedar Hill. He's a fantastic coach. He's still a very good friend. I did not talk bad about Coach Alvarez because this is his gym. These are his rules. He is a grown man who provided me a place to train. I don't have a problem with him. I just needed a different place. He has a business to run. He needed the things to be done his way. I can respect that. He can respect that I needed a different place. So what happened? About a year later, I was competing at IBJJF. And I had never won a gold medal in the gi. I've still only won 2 gold medals at IBJJF, period. I am not the best competitor. The first person that hugs me after I win the finals is Coach Magnus. The second person is my wife, Savannah. The third person is Coach Alvarez. I was paying another coach. I was wearing another patch. Loyalty doesn't have to do with what patch you're wearing. It doesn't have to do with where your gym membership is. It has to do with friendship and respect. So that's why I came down here to get promoted under Coach Alvarez. We're friends. He has helped me as a person. He has helped my jiu-jitsu. I hope that I have been a benefit to the gym. So many people here are here because of that kind of loyalty, not because when I left to train somewhere else, I was a traitor. So I know that in the jiu-jitsu community, sometimes that can be a big thing. I just look at loyalty a little bit differently. Look at loyalty as an issue of respect and friendship, and you'll move through the jiu-jitsu community a little bit easier.
I'm glad he brought that up because this transparency, I was hoping we would talk about that because it's important. Because not all the relationships, like you said, ended this way. And they can, or they should have, or they will in the future if you just do things the right way. Because if I spend this much time with someone like I spent with Bo, it's hard to just be like, it's just hard to do that. I was happy for him to see him win. I was happy that he was continuing jiu-jitsu. There's people on the mat that I've talked to in the past that weren't really training like they should have been training. And I'm like, hey, you should be training. Even if you're not training with me, you should be training because you belong on the mats. That's just me. Am I a tough coach? Absolutely. Do I have standards and the bar is set high? Absolutely. There's things that I want done a certain way, and they have to be that way. But the things that we've gone through together, again, is why we're standing here today. So it's really good that he got a chance to get that out because that's his side of the story, and that's how I feel. I would have said it the same exact way. When he came back and tapped me on the shoulder, and I looked, and he's back, and he's like, I'm going to do my other division. I'm like, yes. And then he goes back out, and he wins, beats the guy that beat him. Like he said, that was the turning point. That was the turning point. I've helped numerous students in that same situation. Hey, that's how you're gonna go out. That's how you're gonna be remembered. That's how you go out in the sunset. Like that's what That's how the book is written. And some people, up yours, Alvarez, like, I'm out and never talk to me again. Cool. That's how your book is written. But he changed that. Okay, he changed that. So it's just like I said, it's a real honor and pleasure because this is a very special relationship. Because like you said, he was here, he left, came back, left again, and he's back again. Mr. Bo, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, we're gonna bow, take a team picture real quick, and then we can let Bo get his pictures with everyone that he's trained with before. All right, let's go. Everyone on this wall here, please. Black belts in the front, obviously. Black belts in the front row.